All right, my dear friends, I am so happy that we can meet today on day number 2 in our 90 days Bible challenge. So, as we have already started, every evening we are going to be having the live reading. And today I'm happy to be reading today's chapters. Today's chapters begins from chapter 17 of Genesis chapter 17 to Genesis chapter 28. I'm reading from the New King James Version. Chapter 17. When Abraham was 90 years old, the Lord appeared to him and said, I am Almighty God. Walk before me and be blameless, and I will make my covenant between me and you, and will multiply you exceedingly. Then Abraham fell on his face, and God talked with him, saying, As for me, behold, my covenant is with you, and you shall be a father of many nations. No longer shall your name be called Abram, but your name shall be called Abraham, for I have made you a father of many nations. I will make you exceedingly fruitful, and I will make nations of you, and kings shall come from you. And I will establish my covenant between me and you and your descendants after you in their generations, for an everlasting covenant, to be God to you and your descendants after you. I give to you and your descendants after you the land in which you are a stranger, all the land of Canaan, as an everlasting possession, and I will be their God. And God said to Abraham, As for you, you shall keep my covenant, and your descendants after you throughout their generations. This is my covenant which you shall keep, between me and your descendants after you. Every male child among you shall be circumcised, and you shall be circumcised in the flesh of your foreskin, and it shall be a sign of the covenant between me and you. He who is 8 days old among you shall be circumcised. Every male child in your generation, he who is born to in your household, or bought with money from any foreigner who is not your descendant, he who is born in your house and who is bought with your money must be circumcised. And my covenant shall be in your flesh for an everlasting covenant. And the uncircumcised male child who is not circumcised in the flesh of his foreskin, that person shall be cut off from his people, and he has broken my covenant. And God said to Abraham, As for your wife Sarah, you shall not call her Sarai, but Sarah shall be her name. And I will bless her and give you a son by her. And I will bless her and shall be a mother of nations. Kings of people shall come from her. And then Abraham fell on his face and laughed, and said in his heart, Shall a child be born to a man who is 100 years old? And shall Sarah, who is 90 years old, bear a child? And Abraham said to God, Oh, that Ishmael might live before you. Then God said, No, Sarah your wife shall bear you a son, and you shall call his name Isaac, and I will establish my covenant with him, an everlasting covenant, and with his descendants after you. And as for Ishmael, I have heard you. Behold, I have blessed him, and will make him fruitful and multiply him exceedingly. He shall beget 12 princes, and I will make him a great nation. But my covenant I will establish with Isaac, whom Sarah shall bear at you at set time next year. He finished talking with him, and God went up from Abraham. So Abraham took Ishmael his son, and all who were born in his household, and all who were bought with his money, every male among the men of Abraham's household, and circumcised the flesh of their foreskin that same day, as God has told him. Abraham was 90 years old when he was circumcised in his foreskin, and Ishmael his son was 13 years old when he was circumcised in the flesh of his foreskin. That very day Abraham was circumcised, and all the sons of Ishmael and all the men of his house, born in the house or bought with money from a foreigner, were circumcised. Chapter 18. Then the Lord appeared to him by the terebinth tree of Mamre, as he was sitting in the tent's door in the heat of the day. So he lifted his eyes and looked, and behold, 3 men were standing by him. And when he saw them, he ran from the tent door to meet them, and bowed himself to the ground, and said, My Lord, if I have now found favor in your sight, do not pass on by your servant. Please, let a little water be brought, and wash your feet, and rest yourself under the tree. And I will bring a morsel of bread, that you may refresh your heart, and that you may pass by, inasmuch as you have come to your servant. They said, Do as you have said. So Abraham held into the tent to Sarah and said, Quickly, make ready 3 measures of fine meal, knead it, and make cakes. And Abraham ran to the head, took a tender and a good calf, and gave it to the young man, and he hastened to prepare it. So he took butter and milk and the calf which he had prepared, and set it before them. And he stood by them under the tree as they ate. Then they said to him, Where is Sarah your wife? So he said, Here, in the tent. And he said, I will return to you according to the time of life, and behold, Sarah your wife shall have a son. Sarah was listening in the tent which was behind him. Now Abraham and Sarah were old, well advanced in age, and Sarah had passed the age of childbearing. Therefore Sarah laughed within herself, saying, After I have grown old, shall I have pleasure, my Lord, being old also? Then the Lord said to Abraham, Why did Sarah laugh, saying, Shall I surely bear a child since I am old? Is there anything too hard for the Lord? At the appointed time I would return to you according to the time of life, and Sarah your wife would have a son. But Sarah denied it, saying, I did not laugh, for she was afraid. And he said, No, but you did laugh. Then the men rose from there and looked towards Sodom, and Abraham went with them to send them on their way. And the Lord said, Shall I hide from Abraham what I am going to do? Since Abraham shall surely become a great and mighty nation, and all the nations of the earth shall be blessed in him. For I have known him in order that he may command his children and his household after him, that they keep the way of the Lord, to do righteousness, justice, that the Lord may bring to Abraham what he has spoken to him. And the Lord said, Because the outcry against Sodom and Gomorrah is great, and because their sin is very grave, I will go down now and see whether they have done altogether according to the outcry against it, that it has come to me. And if not, I will know. Then the men turned from there and went towards Sodom. But Abraham stood before the Lord. And Abraham came near and said, Would you also destroy the righteous with the wicked? Suppose there were 50 righteous within the city. Would you also destroy the place and not spare it for the 50 righteous that were in it? Far be it from you to do such a thing as this, to slay the righteous with the wicked, so that the righteous should be as the wicked. Far it from you. Shall not the judge of all nations do right? So the Lord said, If I find Sodom 50 righteous within the city, then I will spare all the place for their sakes. And Abraham answered and said, Indeed, now I, who am I, but dust and ashes, have taken it upon myself to speak to the Lord. Suppose there were 5 less than 50. Would you also destroy all of the city for the lack of 5? He said, If I find 45, I will not destroy it. And he spoke to him again and said, Suppose there should be 40 there. He said, I will not do it for the sake of the 40. Then he said, Let not the Lord be angry, and I will speak. Suppose 30 should be found there. So he said, I will not do it if I find 30. And he said, Indeed, now I have taken it upon myself to speak with the Lord. Suppose 20 should be found there. He said, I will not destroy it for the sake of the 20. Then he said, Lord, let not the Lord be angry, and I will speak but once. Suppose 10 should be found there. And he said, I will not destroy the city for the sake of the 10. So the Lord went his way as soon as he had finished speaking with Abraham, and Abraham returned to his place. Chapter 19. Now the two angels came to Sodom in the evening, and Lot was sitting in the gate of Sodom. When Lot saw them, he rose to meet them, and he bowed himself with his face toward the ground, and he said, Hear now, my Lord, please turn to your servant's house, and spend the night and wash your feet, then you may rise early and go your way. And they said, No, but we would spend the night in the open square. But he insisted strongly, so they turned to him and entered his house. Then he made them a feast and baked unleavened bread, and they ate. Now, before they lay down, the men of the city of Sodom, both old and young, all the people from every quarter surrounded the house. And they called to Lot and said to him, "Where are the men who came to you tonight? Bring them out to us, so that we may know them carnally." So Lot went out to them through the doorway, shut the door behind, and said, "Please, my brethren, do not do so wickedly. See now, I have 2 daughters who have not known a man. Please, let me bring them out to you, and you may do as you wish. Only do nothing to these men, since this is the reason they have come under the shadow of my roof." And they said, "Stand back." They said, "This one came in to stay here, and he keeps acting as a judge. Now we would deal worse with you than with these men." So they pressed hard against the man Lot and came near to break down the door. But the men reached out their hands and pulled Lot into the house and shut the door. And they struck the men who were at the doorway of the house with blindness, both small and great. So they became very weary trying to find the door. Then the men said to Lot, "Have you anyone else here, son-in-law, your sons, your daughters, and whomever you have in the city? Take them out of this place, for we will destroy this place, because of the outcry against them has grown great before the face of the Lord, and the Lord has sent us to destroy it." So Lot went out and spoke to his sons-in-law who had married his daughters and said, "Get up out of this place, for the Lord will destroy this city." But to his sons-in-laws he seemed to be joking. When the morning dawned, the angels urged Lot to hurry, saying, "Arise, take your wife and your 2 daughters who are with you, lest you be consumed in the punishment of the city." And whilst he lingered, the men took hold of his hand, his wife's hand, and the 2 of his daughters, and the Lord being merciful to him, and they brought him out and set him outside the city. So it came to pass, when they had brought them outside, he said, "Escape for your life. Do not look behind you, nor stay anywhere in the plain. Escape to the mountains, lest you be destroyed." Then Lot said to them, "Please, no, my lord. Indeed now your servant has found favor in your sight, and you have increased your mercy which you have shown by me, by saving my life. But I cannot escape to the mountains, lest some evil overtake me and I die. See now, this city is near enough to flee there, and it is a little one. Please, let me escape there. Is it not a little one? And my soul shall live." And he said, "See, I have favored you concerning this sin also, in that I will not overthrow this city for which you have spoken. Hurry up, escape there, for I cannot do anything unless you arrive there." Therefore the name of the city was called Zoar. The sun had risen upon the earth, and Lot had entered Zoar. Then the Lord rained brimstone and fire on Sodom and Gomorrah from the Lord out of heaven. So he overthrew these cities, all the plain, all the inhabitants of the cities, and what grew on the ground. But his wife looked behind him, and she became a pillar of salt. And Abraham went early in the morning to the place where he had stood before the Lord. Then he looked towards Sodom and Gomorrah, and towards all the land of the plain, and saw, and behold, the smoke of the land which went up like the smoke of a furnace. And it came to pass, when God destroyed the cities of the plain, that God remembered Abraham and sent Lot out of the midst of the overthrow, when he overthrew the cities which Lot had dwelt. Then Lot went up to Zoar and dwelt in the mountains, and his 2 daughters were with him, for he was afraid to dwell in Zoar, and he and his 2 daughters dwelt in the cave. Now the firstborn said to his younger, "Our father is old, and there is no man on earth to come to us, as the custom of all the earth. So let's make our father drink wine, and we will lie with him, that they may preserve the lineage of our father." So they made their father drink wine that night, and the firstborn went in and lay with the father, and he did not know when she lay down or when she rose. It happened on the next day that the firstborn said to the younger, "Indeed, I have laid with my father last night. Let us make him drink wine tonight also, and go in and lie with him, that we may preserve our lineage. Then they made their father drink wine that night, and the younger one also rose and lay with their father. And he did not know when she lay down or when she arose. Thus both the daughters of Lot were with child by their father. The firstborn bore a son and called his name Moab. He is the father of the Moabites to this day. And the younger one also bore a son and called him Benjamin, and called his name Ben-Ami. He is the father of the Ammon to this day. Chapter 20. And Abraham journeyed from there to the south, and dwelt between Kadesh and Shur, and stayed in Gerar. Now Abraham said of Sarah, his wife, "She is my sister." And Abimelech the king of Gerar sent and took Sarah. But God came to Abimelech in the dream by night and said to him, "Indeed, you are a dead man because of the woman whom you have taken, for she is a man's wife." But Abimelech did not come near her and said, "Lord, would you slay the righteous nation also? Did you not say to me, 'She is my sister'? She even herself said, he is my brother. In the integrity of my heart and innocence of my hands have I done this." And God said to him in a dream, "Yes, I know that you did not do this I know that you did this in the integrity of your heart. For I also withheld you from sinning against me. Therefore I did not let you touch her. Now therefore restore the man's wife, for he is a prophet, and he will pray for you and shall live. But if you do not restore her, know that you will surely die, and all who are with you." So Abimelech rose early in the morning, called all his servants, and told all the things in their hearing. And the men were very much afraid. And Abimelech called Abraham and said, "What have you done to us? How have I offended you, that you have brought on me, on my kingdom, a great sin? You have done these to me that ought not to be done." Then Abimelech said to Abraham, "What did you have in view, that you have done this thing?" And Abraham said, "Because I thought surely the fear of God is not in this place, and they will kill me on the account of my wife. But indeed she is truly my sister. She is the daughter of my father, but not the daughter of my mother. And she became my wife. And it came to pass, when God caused me to wander from my father's house, that I said to her, 'This is your kindness that you should do for me. Every place wherever we go, say of me, he is my brother.' And Abimelech took sheep, oxen, male and female servants, and gave them to Abraham, and restored Sarah his wife to him. And Abimelech said, 'See, my land is before you. Dwell it where you please.' Then to Sarah he said, 'Behold, I have given your brother 1,000 pieces of silver. Indeed, this vindicates you before me, all who are with you, and before everybody.' Thus she was rebuked. So Abraham prayed to God, and God healed Abimelech his wife and his servants. Then they bore children, for the Lord had closed up all the wombs of the house of the Abimelech because of Sarah, Abraham's wife." Chapter 21. And the Lord visited Sarah as he had said, and the Lord did for Sarah as he had spoken. For Sarah conceived and bore Abraham a son in his old age, at the set time of which God had spoken to him. And Abraham called the name of his son, whom Sarah bore to him, Isaac. Then Abraham circumcised his son Isaac when he was 8 days old, as God had commanded him. Now Abraham was 100 years old when his son Isaac was born to him. And Sarah said, "God has made me laugh, and all who hear will laugh with me." So she also said, "Who would have said that to Abraham, that Sarah would nurse children? For I have borne him a son in his old age." So the child grew and was weaned, and Abraham made a great feast on that same day that Isaac was weaned. And Sarah saw that the son of Hagar the Egyptian, whom he had borne to Abraham, scoffing. Therefore she said to Abraham, "Cast out this bondwoman and her son, for the son of this bondwoman shall not be heir with my son, namely with Isaac." And the matter was very displeasing to Abraham's sight because of his son. But the Lord said to Abraham, "Do not let it be displeasing in your sight because of the lad or because of your bondwoman. Whatever Sarah had said to you, listen to her. For in Isaac your seed shall be called. Yet I would also make a nation of the son of the bondwoman, because he is your seed. So Abraham rose early in the morning and took bread and skin of water, and putting it on her shoulder, she gave it to the boy and to Hagar, and sent them away. Then she departed and wandered in the wilderness of Beersheba, and the water in the skin was used up, and she placed the boy under one of the shrubs. Then she went and sat across from him at a distance of about a bow shot, for she said to herself, "Let me not see the death of the boy." So she sat opposite him and lifted his voice and wept. And God heard the voice of the lad. Then the angel of God called to Hagar out of heaven and said, "What ails you, Hagar? Fear not, for God has heard the voice of the lad where he is. Arise, lift up the lad, and hold him with your hand, for I will make him a great nation." And God opened her eyes and saw a well of water, and she went and filled the skin with water and gave to the boy to drink. So God was with the lad, and he grew and dwelt in the wilderness and became an archer. He dwelt in the wilderness of Paran, and his mother took a wife for him from the land of Egypt. And it came to pass at that time that Abimelech and Pichcol, the commander of his army, spoke to Abraham, saying, "God is with you and all that you do. Now therefore, swear to me by God that you will not deal falsely with me, with my offspring, or with my posterity, but according to the kindness that I have done to you, and you will do to me and to the land in which you dwelt." And Abraham said, "I will swear." Then Abraham rebuked Abimelech because of the well of water which Abimelech's servant had seized. And Abimelech said, "I do not know who has done these things. You did not tell me, nor had I heard of this until today." So Abraham took sheep and oxen and gave them to Abimelech, and the two of them made a covenant. And Abraham set 7 ewe lambs of the flock by themselves. Then Abimelech said to Abraham, "What is the meaning of these things? Or what is the meaning of these 7 ewe lambs which you have set by themselves?" And he said, "You will take these 7 lambs from my hand, that they may be my witness that I have dug this well." Therefore he called the place Beersheba, because the two of them swore an oath there. Thus they made a covenant at Beersheba. So Abimelech rose with Pichcol, the commander of his army, and they returned to the land of the Philistines. Then Abraham planted a tamarisk tree in Beersheba, and called on the name of the Lord, the everlasting God. And Abraham stayed in the land of the Philistines many, many years. We go to chapter 22. Now it came to pass after these things that God tested Abraham and said to him, "Abraham," he said, "Here am I." Then he said, "Take your son, your only son Isaac, whom you love, and go to the land of Moriah, and offer him there as a burnt offering on one of the mountains which I shall tell you." So Abraham rose early in the morning and saddled his donkey and took 2 of his young men with him, and Isaac his son, and split the wood for the burnt offering, and arose and went to the place which God had told him. Then on the 3rd day Abraham lifted his eyes and saw the place far off. And Abraham said to the young men, "Stay here with the donkey, and the lad and I will go yonder and worship, and will come back to you." So Abraham took the wood of the burnt offering and laid it on Isaac his son, and he took the fire in his hand, and a knife, and 2 of them went together. But Isaac spoke to Abraham his father and said, "My father." And he said, "Here am I, my son." Then he said, "Look, the fire, the wood, but where is the lamb for the burnt offering?" And Abraham said, "My son, God will provide himself the lamb for a burnt offering." So the 2 of them went together. Then they came to the place of which God had told him, and Abraham built an altar there and placed the wood in order, and he bound Isaac his son and laid him on the altar upon the wood. And Abraham stretched out his hand and took the knife to slay him. But the angel of the Lord called out to him from heaven and said, Abraham, Abraham. So he said, Here am I. And he said, Do not lay your hand on the lad, or do anything to him, for now I know that you fear God, since you have not withheld your son, your only son, from me. So Abraham lifted up his eyes and looked, and there before him was a ram caught in the thicket by its horns. So Abraham went and took the ram and offered it up for a burnt offering instead of his son. And Abraham called the name of the place, The Lord Will Provide. As it is said to this day, In the mount of the Lord it shall be provided. Then the angel of the Lord called to Abraham a second time out of heaven and said, By myself I have sworn, says the Lord, because you have done this thing, and have not withheld your son, your only son. Blessings I will bless you, and multiplying I will multiply you. Your descendants as the stars of the heavens, and as the sand which is on the seashore. And your descendants shall possess the gates of your enemies. In your seed all nations of the earth will be blessed, because you have obeyed my voice. So Abraham returned to his young men, and they rose and went together to Beersheba, and Abraham dwelt at Beersheba. Now it came to pass after these things that it was told to Abraham, saying, Indeed, Milcah has also borne children to your brother Nahor, Huz his firstborn, Buz the brother, Kemuel the father of Aram, Chazed, Hosah, Pilzah, Jilpah, and then Bethuel. And Bethuel begot Rebekah. These 8 Milcah bore to Nahor, Abraham's brother, his concubines, whose name was Reumah, and also bore Tabah, Gaham, Tahash, and Maacah. These were the children. Now we go to chapter 23. Genesis chapter 23. Sarah lived 120 years and Sarah lived 127 years. There were the years of the life of Sarah. So Sarah died in Kirjath Arba, that is Hebron, in the land of Canaan. And Abraham came to mourn for Sarah and weep for her. Then Abraham stood up from before his dead and spoke to the sons of Heth, saying, I am a foreigner and a visitor among you. Give me a property for a burial place among you, that I may bury my dead out of my sight. And the sons of Heth answered Abraham, saying, Hear us, my lord. You are a mighty prince among us. Bury your dead in the choicest of our burial place. None of us would withhold from you his burial place, that you may bury your dead. Then Abraham stood up and bowed himself to the people of the land and the sons of Heth, and he spoke with them, saying, It is your wish that I bury my dead out of my sight. Hear me, and meet with Ephron, the son of Zohar, for me, that he may give me the cave of Machpelah. He may give me the cave of Machpelah, which he has, which is at the end of his field. Let him give it to me at the full price as a property for the burial place among you. Now Ephraim dwelt among the sons of Heth, and Ephraim the Hittite answered Abraham in the presence of the sons of Heth, all who entered at the gates of his city, saying, No, my lord, hear me. I will give you the field and the cave that is in it. I gave it to you in the presence of the sons of my people. I give it to you. Bury your dead. And Abraham bowed himself Then Abraham bowed himself down before the people of the land. And he spoke to Ephron in the hearing of the people of the land, saying, If you would give it to me, please hear me. I will give you money for the field. Take it from me, and I will bury my dead. And Ephron answered Abraham, saying, My lord, listen to me. The land is worth 400 shekels of silver. What is that between me and you? So bury your dead. And Abraham listened to Ephron, and Abraham weighed out the silver for Ephron, which he had named in the hearing of the sons of Heth, for 400 shekels of silver, currency of the merchant. So the field of Ephraim, which was Machpelah, which was before Mamre, the field and the cave which is in it, and all the trees that were in the field which were within, and all the surrounding borders were deeded to Abraham as a possession in the presence of the sons of Heth, before all who went in at the gate of the city. After this, Abraham buried Sarah, his wife, in the cave of the field of Machpelah, before Mamre, that is Hebron, in the land of Canaan, so that the field and the cave that is in it were deeded to Abraham by the sons of Heth as a property for a burial place. Chapter 24. Now Abraham was old, well advanced in age, and the Lord had blessed Abraham in all things. So Abraham said to the older servants of his house, who ruled over all that he had, "Please, put your hand under my thigh, and I'll make you swear by the Lord, the God of heaven and the God of the earth, that you will not take a wife for my son from the daughters of the Canaanites, among whom I dwell, but you will go to my country and to my family and take a wife for my son Isaac." And the servant said to him, "Perhaps the woman will not be willing to follow me to this land. Must I take your son back to the land from which you came?" But Abraham said to him, "Beware that you do not take my son back there. The Lord God of heaven, who took me from my father's house and from the land of my family, and who spoke to me and swore to me, saying, 'To your descendants I will give this land,' he will send his angels before you, and you shall take a wife for my son from there. And if the woman is not willing to follow you, then you will be released from this oath. Only do not take my son back there." So that the servant put his hand under the thigh of Abraham his master and swore to him concerning this matter. Then the servant took 10 of his master's camels and departed. All of his master's goods were in the land. And he arose and went to Mesopotamia, to the city of Nahor. And he made his camels kneel down outside the city by a well of water at evening time, and the time when the women go out to draw water. And he said, "O God, my Lord, my master of Abraham, please give me success this day, and show kindness to my master Abraham. Behold, here I stand by the well of water, and the daughters of the men of the city are coming to draw water. Now let it be that the young woman to whom I say, 'Please, let down your pitcher that I may drink,' and she says, 'Drink, and I will give you and your camels to drink,' let her be the one you have appointed for your servant Isaac. And by this I will know that you have shown kindness to my master." And it happened, before he had finished speaking, that behold, Rebekah, who was born to Bethuel, son of Milcah, the wife of Nahor, Abraham's brother, came out with her pitcher on her shoulder. Now the young man was very beautiful to behold, a virgin no man had known. And she went down to the well, filled her pitcher, and came up. And the servant ran to meet her and said, "Please, let me drink a little water from your pitcher." So she said, "Drink, my lord." Then she quickly let her pitcher down to her hand and gave him drink. And when he had finished giving him drink, he said, "I will give water for your camels also, until they have finished drinking." Then she quickly emptied her pitcher into the trough, ran back to the well to draw water, and drew for all his camel. And the man, wondering at her, remained silent as to know whether the Lord had made his journey prosperous or not. So it was, when the camels had finished drinking, that the man took a golden nose ring weighed half of a shekel, and 2 bracelets for her wrist, weighing 10 shekels of gold, and said, "Whose daughter are you? Tell me, is there a room in your father's house for us to lodge?" So she said to him, "I am the daughter of Bethuel, Milcah's son, whom she bore to Nahor." Moreover, she also said to him, "We have both straw and feed enough, and a room to lodge." Then the man bowed down his head and worshipped God. And he said, "Blessed be the God of my master Abraham, who has not forsaken his mercy and his trust towards my master. For as for me, being on the way, the Lord led me to the house of my master's brethren." So the young man So the young woman ran and told her mother's household these things. Now Rebekah had a brother whose name was Laban. And Laban ran out to the man by the wall. So it came to pass, when he saw the nose ring and the bracelets on his sister's wrist, and when he heard the words of his sisters, Rebekah saying, Thus the man spoke to me, and that he went to the man, and there he stood by the camels at the wall. And he said, Come in, O blessed of the Lord. Why do you stand outside? For I have prepared the house and a place for you for the camels. Then the man came to the house, and he unloaded the camel and provided straw and feed for the camel, and water to wash his feet and the feet of the men who were with him. Food was set before him to eat. But he said, I will not eat until I have told about my errand. And he said, Speak on. So he said, I am Abraham's servant. The Lord has blessed my master greatly, and he has become great. He has given him flocks and herds, silver, gold, male and female servants, and camels. And Sarah, my master's wife, bore a son to my master, when she was old. And to him he has given all that he has. Now my master has made me swear, saying, You shall not take a wife for my son from the daughters of the Canaanites in whose land I dwell, but you shall go to my father's house and to my family, and take a wife for my son. And I said to my master, Perhaps the woman will not follow me. But he said, The Lord before whom I walk will send an angel to be with you and prosper your way. And you shall take a wife for my son from my family and from my father's house. You will be clear from this oath when you arrive among my family. For if they will not give her to you, then you will be released from my oath. And this day I came to the well and said, O Lord God of my master Abraham, if you would now prosper the way which I go, behold, I stand by the well of water, and it shall come to pass that when a virgin comes out to draw water, and I say to her, Please, give me a little water from your pitcher to drink. And she said to me, Drink, and I will draw for your camels also. Let her be the woman whom the Lord has appointed for my master's son. But before I had finished speaking in my heart, there was Rebekah coming out with her pitcher on her shoulder. And she went down to the well and drew water. And I said to her, Please, let me drink. And she made haste and let her pitcher down from her shoulder and said, Drink all, and I'll give your camels a drink also. So I drank, and she gave the camels drink also. Then I asked her, Whose daughter are you? And she said, The daughter of Bethuel, Nahor's son, whom Milcah bore to him. So I put a nose ring on her nose and a bracelet on her wrist. And I bowed my head and worshipped the Lord, and blessed the Lord God of my master, Abraham, who had led me in the way of truth to take the daughter of my master's brother for his son. Now if you would deal kindly and truly with my master, tell me, and if not, tell me, that I may turn to the right hand or to the left. Then Laban and Bethuel answered and said, The thing comes from the Lord. We cannot speak to you either bad or good. Here is Rebekah before you. Take her and go, and let her be your master's son's wife, as the Lord has spoken. And it came to pass, when Abraham's servant heard these words, that he worshipped the Lord, bowing himself to the earth. Then the servant brought out jewelry, silver, gold, and clothing, and gave them to Rebekah. And also he gave precious things to her brother and to his mother. And he and the men who were with him ate and drank and stayed all night. Then they arose in the morning and said, Send me my way, my master. But her brother and her mother said, Let the young woman stay with us a few days, and then let's turn after she may come. And he said to them, Do not hinder me, since the Lord has prospered my way. Let me away so that I may go to my master. So they said, We will call the young woman and ask her personally. Then they called Rebekah and said, Would you go with this man? So they sent, and she said, I will go. So they sent away Rebekah, their sister, and her nurse, and Abraham's servant to this man. And they blessed Rebekah and said, Our sister, you may become the mother of thousands of 10,000s, and may your descendant possess the gates of those who hate you." Then Rebekah and her maids arose, and they rode on the camels and followed the man. So the servant took Rebekah and departed. Now Isaac came from the way of Beer-lahai-roi, for he dwelt in the south. And Isaac went to meditate in the field in the evening. And he lifted his eyes and looked, and there the camels were coming. Then Rebekah lifted her eyes, and when he saw Isaac, she dismounted from the camel. And she said to the servant, "Who is this man walking in the field to meet us?" The servant said, "It is my master." So she took a veil and covered herself. And the servant told Isaac all the things that he had done. Then Isaac brought her into his mother Sarah's tent, and he took Rebekah, and she became his wife. And he loved her. So Isaac was comforted after his mother's death. Chapter 25. Abraham again took a wife, and her name was Keturah, and she bore him Zimran, Jakshan, Medan, Midian, Ishbak, and Shua. Jokshan begot Sheba and Dedan, and the sons of Dedan were Asurin, Latushin, and Lumin. And the sons of the Midians were Ephah and Hanok, Abida, and Eldah. All these were the children of Keturah. And Abraham gave all that he had to Isaac. But Abraham gave gift to the sons of the concubines which Abraham had. And while he was still living, he sent them eastward, away from Isaac his son, to the country of the east. This is the sum of the years of Abraham's life which he lived, 175 years. Then Abraham breathed his last and died in a good old age, an old man and full of years, and was gathered to his people. And his son Isaac and Ishmael buried him in the cave of Machpelah, which is before Mamre, in the field of Ephron the son of Zohar the Hittite, the field which Abraham purchased from the sons of Heth. There Abraham was buried, and Sarah his wife. And it came to pass, after the death of Abraham, that God blessed his son Isaac, and Isaac dwelt at Beer-lahai-roi. Now, this is the generation of Ishmael, Abraham's son, whom Hagar the Egyptian, Sarah's maidservant, bore to him. And these were the names of the sons of Ishmael by their names, according to their generations. The firstborn of Ishmael was Nebagoth, then Kedar, then Abdil, then Mishsam, then Mishma, then Duma, then Massa, then Heda, Tema, Jethro, Nephish, and Kademah. These were the sons of Ishmael, and these were the names by their towns and their settlement, 12 princes according to their nations. These were the years of the life of Ishmael, 170 years, and he breathed his last and died, and was gathered to his people. They dwelt from Havilah as far as Shua toward Assyria. He died in the presence of all his brethren. This is the genealogy of Isaac, Abraham's son. Abraham begot Isaac. Isaac was 40 years old when he took Sarah his wife, the daughter of Bethuel the Syrian of Paddan Aram, the sister of Laban the Syrian. Now Isaac pleaded with the Lord for his wife because she was barren, and the Lord granted his plea, and Rebekah his wife conceived. But the children struggled together within her, and she said, "If all is well, why am I like this?" So she went to inquire of the Lord, and the Lord said to her, "Two nations are in your womb, two people shall be separated from your body. One people shall be stronger than the other, the older shall serve the younger." So when her days were fulfilled for her to give birth, indeed there were twins in her womb, and the first came out red. He was like a hairy garment all over. So they called his name Esau. After his brother came out, and his son took hold of Esau's heel, so he was called Jacob. Isaac was 60 years old when she bore them. So the boys grew. Esau was a skillful hunter, a man of the field, but Jacob was a mild man, dwelling in the tent. And Isaac loved Esau because he ate of his game, but Rebekah loved Jacob. Now Jacob cooked a stew, and Esau came in from the field, and he was very weary. And Esau said to Jacob, "Please feed me." Now Jacob cooked a stew, and Esau came in from the field, and he was weary. And Esau said to Jacob, "Please feed me with that same red stew, for I am weary." Therefore his name was called Edom. But Jacob said, "Sell me your birthright as of this day." And Esau said, "Look, I am about to die. What is this birthright to me?" Then Jacob said, "Swear to me of this day." So he swore to him and sold his birthright. And Jacob gave Esau bread and stew of lentil. Then he ate and drank, arose and went his way. Thus Esau despised his birthright. Chapter 26. There was a famine in the land besides the first famine that was in the days of Abraham. And Isaac went to Abimelech, king of the Philistines, in Gerar. Then the Lord appeared to him and said, "Do not go down to Egypt. Live in the land of which I shall tell you. Dwell in this land, and I will be with you and bless you. For you and your descendants I will give all these lands. I will perform the oath which I swore to Abraham your father, and I will make your descendants multiply as the stars of heaven. And I will give your descendants all these lands, and in your seed all the nations of the earth shall be blessed. Because Abraham obeyed my voice and kept my charge, my commandments, my statutes, and my laws." So Isaac dwelt in Gerar, and the men of the place asked about his wife. And he said, "She is my sister." For he was afraid to say, "She is my wife," because he thought, lest the men of the place kill me for Rebekah, because she is beautiful to behold. Now it came to pass, when he had been there for a long time, that Abimelech, king of the Philistines, looked through the window and saw there was Isaac showing endearment to Rebekah's wife. Then Abimelech called Isaac and said, "Quiet, obviously she's your wife. So how could you say she's my sister?" Isaac said to him, "Because I said, lest I die on the account of her." And Abimelech said, "What is it that you have done? One of the people might soon have lain with your wife, and would have brought guilt on us." So Abimelech charged all his people, saying, "He who touches this man or his wife shall surely be put to death." Then Isaac sowed in that land and reaped in that same year 100-fold, and the Lord blessed him. The man began to prosper and continued prospering until he became very prosperous, for he had possessions of flocks and possessions of herds, and a great number of servants. So the Philistines envied him. Now the Philistines had stopped up all the wells which his father's servants had dug in the days of Abraham his father, and they had filled them with the earth. And Abimelech said to Isaac, "Go away from us, for you are mightier than us." Then Isaac departed from there and pitched his tent in the valley of Gerar and dwelt there. And Isaac dug again the wells of water which they had dug in the days of Abraham his father, for the Philistines have stopped them up after the death of Abraham. He called them by the names which his father had called them. Also Isaac's servant dug in the valley and found a well running water there. But the herdsmen of Gerar quarreled with Isaac's herdsmen, saying, "The water is ours." So he called the name of the well Esek, because they quarreled with him. Then he dug another well, and they quarreled over that one also. So he called the name Sitnah, and he moved from there and dug another well, and they did not quarrel over it. So he called the name Rehoboth, because he said, "For now the Lord has made room for us, and we shall be fruitful in the land." So he went from there to Beersheba, and the Lord appeared to him in that night and said, "I am the Lord, the God of your father Abraham. Do not fear, for I am with you. I will bless you and multiply your descendants for my servant Abraham's sake. So he built an altar there and called the name of the Lord, and he pitched his tent there. And there Isaac's servants dug a well. Then Abimelech came to him from Gerar with Ahuzat, one of his friends, and Phicol, the commander of his army. And Isaac said to him, Why have you come to me, since you hate me and have sent me away? But they said, We have certainly seen that the Lord is with you. So we said, Let there now be an oath between us, between you and us, and let us make a covenant with you, that you will do us no harm, since we have not touched you, and since we have done nothing to you but good, and have sent you away in peace. You are now blessed of the Lord. So he made a feast, and they ate and drank. Then they arose early in the morning and swore an oath with one another, and Isaac sent them away, and they parted from him in peace. It came to pass that same day that Isaac's servants came and told him about the well which they had dug, and said, We have found water. So he called it Sheba. Therefore the name of the city is Beersheba to this day. Now Esau was 40 years old. He took as wives Judith, the daughter of Beri the Hittite, and Basmet, the daughter of Elon the Hittite, and they were a grief of mind to Isaac and Rebekah. Chapter 27. Now it came to pass, when Isaac was old and his eyes were so dim that he could not see, that he called Esau, his older son, and said to him, My son. He answered to him, Here am I. He said, Behold, now I am old. I do not know the day of my death. Now therefore, please take your weapons and your quiver and your bow and your bow, and go out to the field and hunt game for me, and make me a savory food, such as I love, and bring it to me, that I may eat, that my soul may bless you before I die. Now Rebekah was listening when Isaac spoke to Esau his son, and Esau went to the field and hunted the game to bring it. So Rebekah spoke to Jacob her son, saying, Indeed, I heard your father speak to Esau your brother, saying, Bring me game and make savory food for me, that I may eat it and bless you in the presence of the Lord before my death. Now therefore, my son, obey my voice according to what I command you. Go now to the flock and bring me from there 2 choice kids of the goat, and I will make savory food from them for your father, such as he loves. Then you shall take it to your father, and he may eat it, and that he may bless you before his death. And Jacob said to Rebekah his mother, Look, Esau my brother is a hairy man. I am a smooth-skinned man. Perhaps my father will feel me, and I shall be seen to be a deceiver to him, and I shall bring a curse on myself and not a blessing. But his mother said, Let your curse be on me and my son. Only obey my voice and go, get them to me. And he went and got them and brought them to his mother. And his mother made a savory food such as his father loved. Then Rebekah took the choice clothes of her elder brother's son Esau, which were with her in the house, and put them on Esau his younger brother. And he kept the skins of the goat of the kids of the goat on the hand and on the smooth part of his neck. Then she gave the savory food and the bread which she had prepared into the hands of her son Jacob. So he went to the father and said, Father. And he said, Here am I. Who are you, my son? Jacob said to his father, I am your son. I am Esau, your firstborn. I have done just as you told me. Please arise, sit, eat of my game, that your soul may bless me. But Isaac said to his son, How is it that you have found it so quickly, my son? Then he said, Because the Lord your God brought it to me. Isaac said to Jacob, Please come near, that I may feel you, my son, whether you are really my son Esau or not. So Jacob went near to his father, and he felt him and said, The voice is Jacob's voice, but the hands are the hands of Esau. And he did not recognize him, because his hands were hairy like the brother Esau. So he blessed him. And he said, Are you really my son Esau? He said, I am. He said, bring it near me, and I will eat of my son's game, so that my soul will bless you. So he brought it near him, and he ate, and brought him wine, and he drank. Then his father Isaac said to him, come near and kiss me, my son. He came near and kissed him. He smelled the smell of the clothing and blessed him and said, surely the smell of my son is like the smell of the field, which the Lord has blessed. Therefore may God give you of the dew of heaven, of the fatness of the earth, and the plenty of the grain and wine. Let people serve you, and nations bow down to you. Be master over your brethren, and let your mother's sons bow down to you. Cursed be everyone who curses you, and blessed be everyone who blesses you. Now it happened, as soon as Isaac had finished the blessings, Jacob had scarcely gone out from the presence of his father, that Esau his brother came in from his hunting. He also had made a savory food and brought it to his father and said to his father, let my father rise and eat of his son's game, that your soul may bless me. And Isaac said to him, who are you? So he said, I am your son, your firstborn Esau. Then Isaac trembled exceedingly and said, where is the one who hunted game and brought it to me? I ate all of it before you came, and have blessed him, and all indeed he shall be blessed. When Esau heard the words of his father, he cried with exceedingly great and bitter cry, and said to his father, bless me also, my father. But he said, your brother came with deceit, and has taken away your blessing. And Esau said, is he not rightly named Jacob? For he has supplanted me these 2 times. He took away my birthright, and now he has taken away my blessing. And he said, have you not reserved a blessing for me? Then Isaac answered and said to Esau, indeed, I have made him your master, and all his brethren I have given to him as servants. With grain and wine I have sustained him. What shall I do for you now, my son? And Esau said to his father, have you only one blessing, my father? Bless me also, O my father. And Esau lifted up his voice and wept. Then Isaac his father answered and said, behold, your dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth, and of the dew of the heavens from above. By your sword you shall live, and you shall serve your brother. And it shall come to pass, when you become restless, then you shall break his yoke from your neck. So Esau hated Jacob because of the blessings with which his father blessed him. And Esau said in his heart, the days of the mourning for my father are at hand. Then I will kill my brother Jacob. And the words of Esau, her older son, were told to Rebekah. So she sent and called Jacob her younger son, and said, surely your brother Esau comforts himself concerning you by intending to kill you. Now therefore, my son, obey my voice. Arise, flee to my brother Laban in Haran, and stay with him a few days until your brother's fury turns away, until your brother's anger turns away from you, and he forget what you have done to him. Then I will send and bring you from there. Why should I be bereaved also of you because of you both in one day? And Rebekah said to Isaac, I am weary of my life because of the daughters of Heth. If Jacob takes a wife of the daughters of Heth, like these who are in the daughters of the land, what good would my life be? Chapter 28. This is the last chapter for the day. Then Isaac called Jacob and blessed him and charged him and said to him, you shall not take a wife from the daughters of Canaan. Arise, go to Paddan Aram, the house of Bethuel, your mother's father, and take for yourself a wife from there, and the daughters of Laban, your mother's brother. May the God Almighty bless you and make you fruitful and multiply you, that you may be an assembly of people, and give you the blessings of Abraham, to you and your descendants with you, that you may inherit the land in which you were a stranger, which God gave to Abraham. So Isaac sent Jacob away and went to Paddan Aram, to Laban, the son of Bethuel, the Syrian, the brother of Rebekah, the mother of Jacob and Esau. Esau saw that Isaac had blessed Jacob and sent him away to Paddan Aram to take himself a wife from there, and that he has blessed him and given him charge, saying, You shall not take a wife from the daughters of the Canaan, and that Jacob had obeyed his father and his mother and had gone to Paddan Aram. Also, Esau saw that the daughters of Canaan did not please his father Isaac. So Esau went to Ishmael and took Mahalath, the daughter of Ishmael, Abraham's son, the sister of Nebaioth, to be his wife, in addition to the wives he had. Now Jacob went out from Beersheba and went towards Haran. So he came to a certain place and stayed there all night, because the sun had set. And he took one of the stones of that place and put it at his head and lay down in that place to sleep. Then he dreamed, and behold, a ladder was set up on the earth, and its top reached the heaven, and the angels of God were ascending and descending on it. And behold, the Lord stood above it and said, I am the Lord God of Abraham your father and the God of Isaac. The land on which you lie I will give to you and your descendants. Also your descendants shall be as the dust of the earth, and you shall spread abroad to the west, to the east, to the north, and to the south. And in you and in your seed would all the families of the earth shall be blessed, because I am with you and will keep you wherever you go, and bring you back to this land. For I will not leave you until I have done what I have spoken. Then Jacob awoke from his sleep and said, Surely the Lord is in this place, and I did not know it. And he was afraid and said, How awesome is this place! This is none other than the house of God. This is the gate of heaven. So Jacob arose early in the morning and took a stone, and there he put it under his head and set it up as a pillar, and poured oil on it. And he called the name of that place Bethel. But the name of that city had been Luz previously. Then Jacob made a vow, saying, If God will be with me and keep me in this way that I am going, and give me bread and eat and clothing to put on, so that I come back to my father's house in peace, then the Lord shall be my God. And this stone which I have set up as a pillar shall be God's house. And all that you have and of all that you give me, I will surely give a tenth to you. Amen. So, dear friend, these are the chapters for today, and I believe that it has been a blessing. God willing, on Sunday we shall meet for our discussion. God bless you, and see you tomorrow for the continuation of the 90 Days Challenge. Shalom.